Welcome back to KTN Prime, and now on to the interview we promised you earlier. Dennis Aseto sat down with activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo on their ordeal in Uganda.
Good evening, and thank you for watching KTN Prime. Welcome. This is a conversation that touches on human rights of the country. Not just the country, but the region, because here in studio today, we have activist Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo, who just came back to the country after 38 days in detention in Uganda. Just what happened, and why is it that there has been an apparent silence from the leadership of the country? President William Ruto has not addressed himself to that, as well as matters to do with the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Why the silence? In studio with me, gentlemen, karibuni sana and welcome back home. We start from the onset.
Thank you for
You are in Uganda. You were arrested. Why?
Dennis, we are also trying to find out why. Because we didn't get anything that tells us why we were arrested. And by the way, it was not an arrest. It was an abduction. Because everything that an abduction happens, that is what happened there. It was not an arrest.
Bob, so here it's not an arrest, it is an abduction. You had gone to Uganda to be together with Robert Changulani, and according to information that was given by President Yoweri Museveni, you were picked up. He's labeled you two as professional demonstrators. Even if you were picked up by the security apparatus in Uganda, any explanation as to why you were picked up by the agencies?
Thank you first for hosting us. I want to appreciate the role that Standard Media Group in particular has done towards helping us to get our freedom. We've just been informed how you took a lot of space to publicize this issue as a human rights issue. So we really thank you, and we hope that you can continue in that spirit. We were abducted on the 1st of October when we got to a petrol station called Matuga Starbucks petrol station. This Starbucks petrol station is owned by none other than the president of this republic. That's where we had parked our car without knowing. And so it is a coincidence or not that we are arrested at the same venue where belongs to the president. And the manner in which we were arrested was by military surveillance team. The military surveillance team that is doing this operation is in charge of all the abductions in Uganda. It is led by a man called Tukakira. He's a sergeant, Tukakira, get that name. He's the man who came to arrest us. He's the one who came to release us. He's the one who was moving us and transferring us around. He's in charge of that operation. There is the head of the counterintelligence. He's called Mr. Eli. Eli is the one who is commanding that team from the Special Forces Command under the military, the UPDF wing. The Special Forces Command is a private security team of the army trained to protect the first family. So they are above other military wings, and they actually call themselves next to none, that they're next to none in terms of power. They don't listen to the judiciary, they don't listen to the executive, they don't listen to parliament, they are next to none. So they can conduct their activities of terror without being subjected to any accountability. This is the team that abducted us.
Oyoo, as you've been picked up, you've been taken inside, do you first of all know where you are? Or is it a question of you've been picked up, you've been kept in a place where you do not know? How was it?
It was a harrowing experience, Dennis. You know, they came, this looks to me like a movie. I mean, suddenly they're here, somebody is talking to Bob, I joined them because we are waiting for somebody who was supposed to help us with the tires of the vehicle. And then suddenly it's 8, 9 people with serious guns, long guns, short guns, and everything that they can have. And then you are pushed into the car, and immediately they start to rough us up. Because I was trying to, when I realized this, because I've been talking to Bob in his first abduction, I knew that the phone is an important thing. So I wanted to throw it out of the window. But unfortunately, that vehicle is this Nissans. They have a very small window.
Drones.
Yeah, drone. They call them drones there. Yeah. Here it is Subarus. So basically, I realized I can't throw it, but I had already made a noise about a phone. So they thought that I was saying that I have another phone. So that's where they started beating me up and roughing me up there, thinking that I'm hiding another phone.
Yeah.
So it was a rough experience. I've never seen this. I've never been in this kind of situation where your security is completely in jeopardy and you don't know what you can do. That's the kind of situation.
As you're inside, Bob, how do you survive in there? What do you eat? Are you allowed to speak to counsel? Do you have access to counsel?
No, we were being held incommunicado. We were not even meant to talk to each other. He was in a separate cell and I was in a separate cell. We were not able to mingle. Our movement was limited. We were denied the right to free movement. We were locked up in a cell for those 38 days, not even able to get some sun. The food rations were porridge in the morning and beans and ugali for the 38 days. Myself, I declined to eat my lunch and decided to fast as a way of protesting with prayer. But we were able to get through it despite losing a lot of weight in the process. There was a lot of people who were suffering from medical conditions and were not being allowed to even see a doctor. The hygiene was pathetic. We would only use something inside the cell as to help yourself. For the 38 days, you were in handcuffs, day and night. That is your pillow. So if you have to eat, you have to lift your plate and eat from your hand, wash your hands. They were putting us into a very difficult situation. But we thank God for going through it and coming out alive, and we continue.
So since the abduction, how's the journey been? Because we will talk about what happened, but you are the people who are at the epicenter of it all. You understand the story. So here you are, finally you have been released. How has it been since then?
First, I want to say I thank Kenyans, I thank the media, I thank everybody who was involved in this. And family came into this. My sister, Benta, became a center of this, and a lot of people around it. I think coming out is a very good feeling, to find yourself back in this country. For us, it was like this could go on and on. You don't have any information. The kind of information you can get is snippets where people can give you something because they feel that it's something you can get, but somebody who is doing it in a manner that if they're caught telling you something, they'll have to get some punishment. So this is a military place. You wake up in the morning, bombs and gunshots because they are training there. So you wake up and hear gunshots and these are RPG bombs and there are noises. These are people who are now running around training. So that scares a lot. And to ask yourself, when is it going to end? Because every day is the same. You wake up in the morning, porridge and those other things, and immediately it's at night. So you don't even know where it's going, what is the issue. You have been asked questions that don't really make sense to you because you think somebody should be moving towards charging you with something, but you don't see it anywhere. So coming out is really, a relief.
Dennis, I want to say that at this point, we'd like to share some information. We have foreign nationalities that are still being held at the military base in Serakasenyi training camp. There are 6 Nigerians. One of them is called Joseph Efeanyi Chukwu Nwobodo, and there's another man who was sharing a cell
John
with him. John Alexander. These are people who were seriously tortured. The man I was with was actually telling me how his experience was. He was tortured using a pliers, the one that he used for the car, and he had a lot of body wounds when I found him. And they have not yet been given medical attention. There are Ugandan nationals who are civilians in that camp, very senior old men, including the brother to the Internal Affairs Minister of Uganda. The brother is the Internal Affairs Minister, but he's looking for his brother who is in a military camp. So I'd like him to know that the location of this safe house where we were, where his brother is a place called Ronyo, near a football pitch. If they just have a look at that place, they will find many other civilians who are
So, Bob,
still there.
you are at this detention camp for 38 days.
Yes.
The individuals you're talking about, had they been there longer?
Yes.
And when you talked to them, when you're having a conversation with them, perhaps they tell you why they were in there? Or they were just picked up the same way you were picked up?
Yeah. It is the same thing that we faced ourselves. They don't know why they're there. They don't understand how they got there. Some of them actually came blindfolded. You just find yourself in there. At least us, we were not blindfolded at first, but eventually they blindfolded us. Of course, because they were beating us up. So I think it was like they forgot to do some things. But when we got to the camp, they told us to kneel
When you
down.
say they forgot to do some things, what do you mean?
That blindfold looks to me like it was something that they were in a rush to get us somewhere. So we could see a bit of some Uganda, or maybe they thought we don't know the place very well. So it's not something that we can put in mind. But you will find that the place that we went, Kasenyi, went past Entebbe. So that is where Kasenyi actually is. So you find that most people were telling us they didn't even know how they got there. They just got there, pushed into the place. Like us, when we got there, the handcuffs came in and stayed there all this time.
I mean,
some of these people are picked from their homes. Like Moses Kasiba told me that he was picked in front of his family. Amos Rogomani, who is the brother to the internal minister, was picked while washing his car in Kampala. But they have not seen their families until today. Their families don't know where they are.
You have related these abductions to President William Ruto. You say that where you had parked your vehicle, the petrol station belongs to the head of state. Do you think there is any collision between the two heads of state for you to be picked up in Uganda? And if so, why?
Dennis,
if you look at what has happened recently, we are seeing Ugandan nationals being picked in Nairobi, like Dr. Kiza Besigye, and handed over to the Ugandan military. He's now in military custody as we speak. If you look at Tanzania, the opposition leader Tundu Lissu, the same thing happened when he's been put behind bars and charged with treason. The same thing happened to me last year. I was abducted again during the Gen Z protest. This is a second abduction in a year. And the manner in which we were arrested in Kenya is similar to what happened in Uganda. They track you with the phones and they keep you under incommunicado. The situation, the circumstances are very similar. And even the way the governments were coordinating, it would not have taken more than a day for our government to know we are being held by the Ugandan government. Why did it take so long for the Foreign Affairs Minister to speak out about these abductions? He almost spoke about it towards when we were being released. When we were released again, we were handed over to the ambassador for Kenya in Uganda, Mr. Joash Maangi. He escorted us for 3 hours in a convoy, a military convoy, together with his convoy, about a convoy of 5 vehicles, from Kampala to Busia for 4 hours. So there was total engagement between these two governments. They just didn't know how to release us. Because as I'm saying, we are innocent. Until now, we have not been charged in Uganda for any crime, neither in Kenya. Had we done anything that was wrong or offensive to the government, they would have had their day in court. So these are things that we cannot support, and we are going to challenge them in the East African Court of Law. We're going to sue the government of Uganda now that the president has even admitted towards holding us illegally, illegal detention. He himself has confessed to these crimes. So I think we're going to take up this matter legally, but also we are sending a very strong message both to the Ugandan and Tanzanian authorities that as a Kenyan people, we are not going to sit back as we watch them oppress the people. We are going to join hands with the people of Tanzania, with the people of Uganda. On the 9th of December, we are calling for a total shutdown in East Africa in solidarity with the Tanzanians and Kenyans who have died in Tanzania. We are demanding that, one, the President Suluhu must step down unconditionally and give chance for the Tanzanian people to relook at this constitutional crisis. Number two, we are also saying that we want all Ugandan prisoners, political prisoners, including Dr. Kiza Besigye, to be released. And so we're going to be joining hands with our Ugandan counterparts, the Tanzanian counterparts, to do a major demo within these 3 East African countries. The only thing that can stop that from happening is if they listen to what we are demanding and actually release these people from prison. Yeah.
Nicholas, during this entire period, reports are that you have been picked up in Uganda. Security operators in Uganda say that they have no idea where you are. They do not have you in custody. Back home, there has been pressure from human rights activists, political leaders, that the government of Kenya moves in and acts, that the Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary gives a statement or makes demands and ensure that Kenyans who are being held up in Uganda are actually released. But we see an apparent silence from both the president and the Cabinet Secretary. Why do you think that is the case?
Dennis, you look at the similarities, even with this case, the first abduction. I was involved because he is my chairman, I'm the secretary. The same day that he was abducted, we were with him. It's my car that drove him to the vehicle that he was taken from. And the same script. Different cast, same script. They kept saying they don't have him, they don't have him. But look at this coincidence. On the day that the IG comes to court, after 7 summons, he comes to court. At that night, they are released. What a coincidence. Even us now going to Uganda, you find that we had cases, four cases that we are dealing with on independent and on issues of those kinds of IBC. Suddenly, we go there and we are put in that place for quite some time. We come back and we find that IBC has done all the work that we had telling them not to do. We actually petitioned them on the 1st of September. They have our petition. They replied to it. They replied to it, I think, a few days before we went to Uganda. We were supposed to come back and act on that. We have a case that we launched on that issue in Machakos, petition E035 of 2025. So you realize that the timelines tell you something. There's no way that we can be just sitting there and the time that we are supposed to be here dealing with issues, you look at the timelines and that tells you, and then where we were taken from. Starbucks.
How would you rate the human rights situation in the region? Talk about Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, because you look at Boniface Mwangi being picked up in Tanzania, he's tortured, he's dropped back home. You hear what the leadership of the country says, that you cannot take your bad manners to another country because they have their own rules, forgetting that the Constitution of Kenya demands that the leadership of the country protect its citizens within and without its borders. You look at Kizza Besigye, picked in the territory that is Kenya, taken back to Uganda in a military prison today, going through treason charges. And here again, another case of you two arrested in Uganda. Leadership is silent. How would you rate the leadership of the region, especially since we are in East Africa community that recognizes the citizens of this region? Does human rights really belong to the people? Does human right become an important subject for the leadership of the East Africa community, or is it just a suggestion?
It is on paper but not on practice. We're talking about numbers up to 10,000 people feared dead today in Tanzania. This calls for an international awakening, not just a local, because if we allow this to happen in Tanzania, the next elections in Kenya 2027, we could go a similar way. We could actually witness the same in Uganda next month when they go for the polls. So on human rights, we have a serious flop as a country. We have seriously failed on our threshold for upholding the human rights within our constitution. I think for Uganda and Tanzania, they are less advantaged because they are still using the old constitutional order. And I think one of these push that we are having right now should be that if they can birth a new constitutional dispensation that upholds the rule of law, constitutionalism, human rights at the epicenter of that document. Otherwise, they are still under very much military state in Uganda, and we have a police state in Tanzania. In Kenya, we are seeing the trends. If you look at the politicians commenting about our issue, there is that, I don't know, the senator from commented about that the Tanzanian government should have actually wangetufinya.
Cherargei.
Cherargei, is it? Those are very unfortunate comments coming from a senior member of the ruling party. It shows how they view human rights as a political party. And he speaks this at a podium of a church. You know, I don't know why the churches are giving them such platforms to speak hatred from the pulpit. You know, we want to say that even for those who abducted us, we are not vengeful. We're not saying that we want to fight them. In fact, our approach is very reconciliatory. That we're saying, release the political prisoners in Uganda. Stop the killings in Tanzania. Let us give a chance for constitutional democracy. We're advancing all the issues, as you've heard the SG saying, through peaceful processes, not through violence, as they want to portray us as people who riot. We only use and exercise Article 37, the right to peaceably protest when the need arises, just like in the issue of the finance bill. However, that by itself is not an end. That's why we're advancing other issues like the referendum, where people can come together, 1 million Kenyans, and push for constitutional changes that can solve the problems that are bedeviling the people right now.
You know, when you talk about the situation that you two have gone through, it is something that you would not wish to, even on your worst enemy, you know. One would hope that the leadership of the country would come through for its citizens, that respect for human rights is something that cuts across. And here we are talking about the East Africa community. You say that you will be going to the East Africa Community Court, right, to get your day in court. If it is the same leaders who fund these institutions, is there hope for human rights to be respected, for justice to be served?
Dennis, we have to look at hope. We have to believe in hope. Even when we were there, it looked hopeless, but we are here. Hope is something that you work with, you live in faith, and we believe one day things will work out. We must continue to engage, because the kind of things that you see going on, you see the human rights aspect cuts across. That's why we were in Uganda fighting for human rights. That gives me the license to fight for anybody and everybody in this country and all over this planet, because we are human. And that is why we keep fighting for other people. So if somebody imagines that you're taking tabia zetu mbaya is to protect him one day. I know he may get himself in a situation where he is there, and he will call for us to bring solidarity. We went to Uganda in solidarity of somebody who we have known before, we have worked with before. If you listen to our slogans, when we say people power, we say higher power. Then they say people power, our power. So we are sister organizations, and we are people who work in solidarity. Solidarity can even mean that I come to court, even when there's nothing else I do. At least you know I'm there. So that is what took us there. And if somebody feels that that is wrong, then they should tell me what East Africa is about.
If you look at the East African, just to interject, to add on to what he's saying, if you look at the East African Charter, our integration is based on certain pillars: economic pillar, political pillar, and social pillar. And therefore, it therefore means that if we have ideologies in Kenya that can work in Tanzania or vice versa, we need to share these ideologies across. There's nothing wrong with us integrating with or supporting a candidate in Uganda like His Excellency Bobi Wine, because we think that it's time that Ugandans thought of an alternative for change. And at this current moment, we see that there is no other candidate that represents the face of change than Chagulanyi Robert. If we are participating in supporting him, it should not be criminalized. Just like our president supports President Museveni, we don't criminalize him or say that he's doing wrong. That's his right of political will. So I think if we're talking about a united Africa, we are Pan-Africanists at heart. And therefore, whatever happens in South Africa affects us here. Whatever happens in Ghana affects us here. We are calling for the total unification of Africa as a political body, so that we can be able to leverage on the numbers to emancipate African from where we are into the next level where we ought to be. We cannot do it alone as Kenyans or Tanzanians, but if we are a block of Africa, we can negotiate with China, we can negotiate with India, we can negotiate with Brazil, And that's the direction we are pushing this movement towards.
You see, 9th of December is such a big day because you've said this is a day when you want to shut down the region. You know, this is a day when you want to call for human rights to be respected in the region. First of all, there is hope that does exist, but then again, there is also the fear that these leaders, these very same leaders, are working hard to clamp down on human rights in the region, muzzling voices and dissenting voices for that matter. What are we looking at? What are we looking at
Dennis,
on the 9th of December?
You know, if they let us express ourselves, if the police don't come to the streets, you will see nothing. You will see no anything that hurts anybody. You will not see a thing. And it has happened before. Churches have gone to demonstrations, organizations have gone to demonstrations, schools have gone to demonstrations, lawyers have gone to demonstrations. Why is it that when we come out politically, it is a war? Somebody prepares for war. We have a case petition E122 of 2023 on that very issue, that this question of security for demonstrators is a matter that they should take up. They should escort the demonstrators, not to come and fight. It's not war. We are not at war, not with anyone. We are building this constitution for the future. Yeah.
As we talk about matters to do with the region, the torture that you guys have gone through is the same situation of what has happened to others in the region. And it seems as if this is a common denominator. It is a tool that continues to be there. Yet, the citizens of the region continue to rise and continue to speak. The power of the people belongs to the people, not to a few individuals in these high offices. Is the leadership of the region ready to accept that the people are finally speaking and all they need to do is listen? Or is it the flip side, that we will clamp on them regardless of what the citizens are saying?
We don't need them to emphasize the position of the people. In our constitution, all sovereign power is vested in the people. And we shall exercise that sovereign power on the 9th. Just let's leave it at that.
You know, it's a sad situation sitting here. I saw you break down on the television earlier, just speaking of the situation that you went through. And there is the name, Kainerugaba, the Muhozi, who is the son to President Museveni. You say that it was under his order. How do we liberate the region from the human rights atrocities that you continue to see on a daily basis?
How to is through the people themselves. The people themselves of Uganda have the power within themselves to liberate themselves. They don't need Kenyans to do it for them. What they require is just unity of purpose. For instance, in this upcoming election, they have to stand in solidarity for change. They have to vote. They have to protect that vote because, let me tell you one thing, Dennis. When we were there, one of the army officers came up to me and told me that in Uganda, we shall not allow a civilian to rule us. We shall not allow a civilian to rule us. That's the military sending a message. So now, inadvertently, I think what will happen, you might experience an internal coup even within the army itself. There are so many army officers who are not happy with how the army is being run under General Muhozi. He has personalized the military to become a family affair. His only close relatives are the generals. The rest of the army officers are being treated. We have 150 army officers who were imprisoned in the same camp we were in. These are colonels, lieutenants, majors. Do you think they're going to sit back and watch their country go down that way? He's inviting a mutiny within his own country. All right? So he might think he's the absolute power, but power belongs to the people.
Oyoo, any hope for the region? Any hope for human rights to be respected? And what should the people do moving forward?
I think the people should come together. I think what we call for is people power, higher power. People's power is the highest power. Dennis, there is no government that has ever won against the people. Never. It will take us 40 years, but we'll take you out. And I believe this is the same situation. We are going to win it finally. It may cost us a few lives, blood, everything, but we will win it eventually. It's better for them to decide that they are coming to be part of the solution than to fight us, because that is going to be something that is not going to be the best.
We had some very careless remarks about him waging war, into Kenya. That is something you should not even think about. Yeah, I think that's not the way to go.
You see, human rights in the region is not just a suggestion. It is a reality in Kenya. It is a gift that Kenyans give to themselves. It is sad that Kenyans, Ugandans, Tanzanians are picked and they get to be treated in the most inhumane way. Question is, until when? Until when will the leadership of the region stand and protect its people? Nicholas Oyoo, Bob Njagi, welcome back home.
Thank you.
And many thanks for keeping us company. I'm Dennis Aseto. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good evening.